Okay guys, we're back again with Robbie the Renaissance Man, where we talk about different parts of culture and I tell you the facts, not opinions, facts, okay? So last week we talked about Marvel's movie of the Avengers, and we also did my top 10 list of comic book movies of all time, which should be your list as well, okay? This week we're going to talk about Marvel versus DC, okay? We're going to talk about three elements. We're going to talk about the comic book realm, the animated realm, and then the movies, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, Marvel versus DC. This is my overall feel for them, okay? They're competitive to a T. They always fight each other on, if one does one thing, the other one does the exact same thing in a different aspect. Whenever Marvel killed Captain America, DC killed Batman. Now, both of them were back within a year, or they were mentioned to be back within a year, but that's not the point. They still try to copy one another. And it's just an element that I'm so frustrated with, because I think they should just both be their own entities, but they don't. They try to compete with one another. And I understand sales, they have to, but as structure and as substance, they don't have to do that. But yet they do. Well, it's the world we live in. So anyway, comics, let's talk about this. I have been an avid Marvel fan since I was a child. Okay? I had Spider-Man underwear. I had pillowcases. I loved the characters in the Marvel Universe. Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Hulk. They're all just cool stories. I mean, they were just very dynamic characters. It wasn't just a story. It wasn't just like some kind of overall theme. It was who they were that made them interesting. And that's what I think Marvel strives on, is their characters. Okay? And so for so long, I've been collecting for about 5 or 6 years now. And I have a huge collection. And I've collected Marvel for only strictly Marvel for about 3 or 4 years of that. Until 3 or 4 years ago, about 3 years ago, when I started realizing Marvel's losing it a little bit. Because I read that awful travesty called Secret Invasion, that Brian Bendis came up with this awesome concept, which he does. He comes up with great concepts, but his execution is so poor. He just cannot come through or follow through with it. Secret Invasion was this great aspect that was the Skrulls, which was a shape-shifting race of aliens who were pissed off at the whole Marvel Universe, came in, took places of major characters, major people in the world, not just in the Avengers or in the Marvel Universe, but like presidents or politicians and people like that, and they placed themselves there for years. And all of a sudden, they just started coming out. They started attacking. Well, great concept. I was so excited about it. But unfortunately, Bendis screwed the pooch on this one. Okay? By issue 3, you were like, what is this? What is it? What? She's the queen? What? You're like, Spider-Woman is the leader? That's garbage. No political thing happened. President Obama didn't say no more Avengers like it should have done. There should have been chaos. The Avengers and the Marvel Universe should have been on the run because they were overtaken. But it didn't. They ended it with, Norman Osborn taking a big sniper rifle and shooting her in the head. It was just dumb. It was horrible follow-through, and it was garbage. Okay? And since that time, since Civil War, they have not had a strong event to keep readers reading. Okay, because they had Secret Invasion, they had Siege, then they had Fear Itself, which was an abomination. Should not even have happened because they killed Bucky, and then 2 weeks later, Bucky's really not dead. It was just ridiculous. And so now they have Avengers vs. X-Men, which is a cool element, cool concept, and we'll see how it goes. I'm not holding my breath on this one. So you see, I talk about Marvel, Marvel's aspect of their comics, then DC. Okay, DC, unfortunately, is not very character-driven. They're very story-driven. And for a while there, it's kind of failed because the big thing, Final Crisis, that came out, it was kind of a disappointment because you had to read the 12 side stories to understand what was going on in the main story, which was not fun for readers. And I didn't care for it at all either. And then they killed Batman, which was a ballsy move, but a good move, I thought. And then a year later, they fail and say he was really sent through time and blah, 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 and it was just, it was horrendous. But up after that, they had Blackest Night, which was phenomenal. It was probably one of my favorite top 10 comic book stories ever told. Okay? And since then, since I started reading DC, at that point, I started collecting some DC comics. And from that point on, I've realized DC has a lot better writers than Marvel does. DC is better at telling stories than Marvel is. And so I started collecting them, and then the New 52 came out last year. And oh my gosh, DC knocked it out of the park. Okay? Because what they did is something that's called smart, and they took their best writers and put them on the worst characters. And now we have Aquaman, who, I'm sorry, is the worst character ever created. He can talk to Nemo, big deal. It's stupid. But he has become one of the highest selling books. He has outsold almost every Marvel book for the past 6 months. That is crazy, okay? And it's ridiculous. But it's a smart move on DC. They took their best writers, put them on the sorrier books, and they built from the ground up. They started over, which was a good move on their part because it got people like you who never read to start reading comics now. So I say all that to say this: DC is wiping the floor with Marvel right now in comic books. Okay? I'm not saying that in the past it hasn't been all Marvel, but right now, in this day and age when they're losing popularity of comic book readers, regardless if there's digital comics out there or not, DC is beating Marvel. And it's because their storytelling is better. We need to take out Romita Jr. and his crappy artwork. We need to take out Bendis and send him somewhere else. Put Matt Fraction and Brubaker to writing more things for Marvel, and it'll be better off. You know what? I'm sorry. Scratch that. Put Bendis on Ultimate Spider-Man. Don't let him go anywhere because Ultimate Spider-Man is a fantastic book. But DC is just rocking it. Okay? Jeff Johns, Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison, fantastic writers who have taken comic books to the next level. Batman and Robin with Grant Morrison writing was probably the best year series that I've ever read. Dick Grayson, who is my favorite character, Nightwing is awesome, and I can prove it to you hopefully in the near future. But Dick Grayson as Batman was fantastic. Okay, do I necessarily agree with him becoming Batman? No, but seeing him portrayed through Grant Morrison's writing as Batman was fantastic. Okay, so I feel that DC has the upper hand right now on Marvel in comic books, and Marvel really needs to do something soon, and I hope they do. I have faith in them. I think they will, but I just don't know what it is they have to do to catch up with DC. Animated. This is animated films, animated series. Up until the past 10 years, Marvel had pretty much dominated the animated world. Okay? Regardless of Batman animated series being so fantastic, which I loved it during the 90s, okay? But Marvel had the Spider-Man series that everybody watched. You woke up every day wanting to watch that when you got home from school. Also, they had the X-Men series, which was one of my favorite animated series of all time. Okay? They came up with the Iron Man series. Okay? They had great series going on throughout the 90s, okay? But then the past 10 years, like I said, DC has been kind of dominating them because their movies. They didn't focus necessarily on series, even though Justice League was awesome. Teen Titans, oh my gosh, Teen Titans is one of the greatest animated series ever made, okay? It took the concept of Teen Titans and turned it into a cartoon. Kids and adults both loved it. It was great. But their movies, they're animated movies. Batman Mask of the Phantasm is by far the best animated movie ever made. Fact. Okay? It is awesome. It is great. And if I could compare it to The Dark Knight or Batman Begins, I put it above it because it was great. Also, just every year they come out with a new DC movie that is just better than Marvel's. Marvel's movies are not good. Invincible Iron Man was trash. I bought it for like $10 because I was excited about it. I wanted to return it because it was awful. I have it in my room. I never watch it. You know why? Because it's garbage. Alright? They made the Ultimate Avengers movies. Meh. Borderline okay. They're not any good. But then you have DC who has the Red Hood, the Green Lantern First Flight, Green Lantern Emerald Knights. Okay, Batman and Superman Public Enemies. Batman and Superman Apocalypse. If you have not seen these movies, you need to go watch them because they're fantastic films. DC just has the upper hand right now in both comics and in animation. Okay? But here's where Marvel turns the tide. Marvel has much better movies. Yes, DC has Batman Begins and Dark Knight and potentially Superman next year, which I hate Superman. But anyway, yes, they have those two films, but what else do they have? Green Lantern was a bust, even though I think he was better than most people set it out to be. Okay? It was a bust. But what has Marvel done in the past 5 years? They had everyone waiting on the edge of their seat for the Avengers movie. They built up with 5 movies. Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America. They had you all waiting for it because they wanted to see the snippet at the end to see what was going to build up for the Avengers. And they rocked it. They did a fantastic job. And I think that's where DC failed, because DC was thinking that Marvel was going to bust on this. And to be honest, I was a little skeptical because I thought they had the most to lose. But now they're against the ropes because they only have one more Christopher Nolan film left, Dark Knight Rises, to save any popularity of DC films. And yes, there's Superman next year, but after that, what is there? Okay, they have nothing. They don't have anything to build up for. They don't have me waiting on the edge of my seat for the next movie because they're not building up to anything. Yes, Green Lantern had the Sinestro tease at the end of the movie, but at the popularity of Green Lantern, are they really going to get another film? I mean, I hope so, but it's not guaranteed. So I think what DC should do is they should not use the Marvel formula. Do something different and just recast everybody and make a Justice League movie. Okay, yes, it should be 2 movies or it should be 3.5 hours long. That's fine, but you need to don't build up. Just give us a Justice League film. Okay, don't try to do a bunch of character development. Just take the Justice League movie that they made and recreate it. That's all you have to do. Okay, that's exactly what Peter Jackson should do with The Hobbit. Just recreate what's already made because it'll work. All right, so Marvel loses in the comics and the animated. But right now, they're dominating DC in movies. And I see that to continue until DC shows me something special. And they have yet to do that because we know what we're going to get with Dark Knight. We know we're going to get grungy and grimy and dark. We know that. We know that we're going to get a edgy way of seeing Batman. Okay, we know this. And we know we're going to feel despair the entire film because of Bane. We know this. But are you giving me anything to look forward to? Okay? Because that's what Avengers did. Avengers was great, but it gave me something to look forward to because I want to see another one. Okay? But we know we're not going to get any more Christopher Nolan ones. So DC's got to do something in that area. And guys, that's just how I feel about it. I feel that DC really needs to do something in the movies, and I feel like Marvel really needs to step up their game in their animated films and TV shows, along with their comics. That's this week's segment. I know that these are probably not things you agree with, but I'm always right, so you have to agree with it. I hope you guys have a great week. Go be great, and just remember, I'm always right.